My name is Vita Shook, and I'm the International President for the Association of Flight Attendants-CWA. As first responders, the traveling public's last line of defense in the air, the policies and programs of our national government are an integral part of our profession. That's why today, the Flight Attendants Union Coalition, almost 100,000 strong, is announcing an unprecedented effort to help re-elect President Obama and Vice President Biden. As individual organizations, we've endorsed formally in the past, but this year the stakes are so high for our profession that our strength in unity will be taken to a new level. As representatives of flight attendants and our families in the United States, we are here today not only to endorse the President's re-election, but we're asking our members to arrange their flying schedules in such a way that they'll be able to maximize their time volunteering for the Obama-Biden campaign between now and Election Day. On my lip. No matter where across the U.S. home is, we're asking members to simply join their local union-based effort, walk to their local or regional Obama campaign office, and step up. We're asking them to talk with their families, friends, neighbors, and anyone else they come across. And we can tell you this is no small item. Together we have thousands of members in swing states: Florida, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Virginia, North Carolina, and Ohio, to name a few. And so why are we doing this? Simply because America's aviation infrastructure, over 5% of America's gross domestic product as a whole, cannot withstand what a Romney administration would inevitably bring. 4 years of the 1% running amok. 4 years of regression for working families. 4 years of assaults on workers' rights beginning on day one. 4 years of unchecked outsourcing of maintenance, repair, and overhaul, and an attitude where decisions are based on the wants of a few, meaning those in the executive suites, as opposed to the needs of many, the many working families we're speaking about today, and of course the traveling public. This election is a choice between the President's agenda that favors working families and the middle class they represent. In other words, the working men and women that we represent here today, versus the trickle-down nonsense that we've been hearing about for years. On the bright side, there's a real choice here. Flight attendants and our families know that while we're voting for President Barack Obama, we're also electing, in a sense, the Secretary of Transportation, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, and other key posts. Today, in each one and every one of these jobs, President Obama has appointed professionals whose primary concern is the safety of the traveling public. Period. The President has also prioritized the rebuilding of our nation's transportation infrastructure with an emphasis on the best science has to offer to enhance in that rebuilding. By itself, one of the programs, NextGen, simply means that our country will have the most modern air traffic control system the world has ever seen, and a system that will assure the United States has the safest and best aviation system in the world for decades to come. Also, know that some of President Obama's singular acts over the last 4 years have made a true difference. Professional flight attendants today are America's first responders, and we are because of the heinous acts of September 11th, 2001, which thrust us into that role. President Obama gave the order that led to the death of Osama bin Laden. And for those of us on the front lines of aviation, and many more, we are grateful to the President and all of the women and men who protect our nation every day, our most precious passengers. And finally, the differences this time around are stark, and the working families represented by the Flight Attendant Union Coalition will not stand mute. Instead, we'll stand side by side and usher President Barack Obama into his second term and walk with him proudly. So thank you. And I'd like to next welcome Southwest Flight Attendant Transport Workers Union member, Portia Reddick-White.
Thank you, Vita, for that key background, the issues and information that you enumerated on. My name is Portia Reddick White, a flight attendant with Southwest Airlines and the Committee on Political Education co-chair representing Local 556. My local president today, Stacy K. Martin, could not be here due to an emergency. However, as members of the Flight Attendant Coalition, we stand in support shoulder to shoulder with our fellow flight attendants. On behalf of the nearly 12,000 flight attendants represented by TWU Local 556, we support the efforts of a candidate that will support and protect our union bargained rights. And it's clear that only one candidate is willing to do this. Having a candidate that will ignore and destroy the ability to bargain fairly, side by side with company representatives at this unsettled economic juncture in our country is just something that we don't need, we can't support, and we can't endorse. However, today we enthusiastically support GOTV efforts and will be working with our membership to encourage participation in this important election so that when it's all said and done, November 6, 2012, the right man will be leading the efforts for our country for working families, including the so many flight attendant union members. Thank you.
Thank you, Portia. And it's critical to illustrate the difference on the right to collectively bargain and the right to be able to form a union and to negotiate a union. And the electing President Obama also helped us elect a Democratic National Mediation Board that understands our issues and supported having fair elections and also supports our right to meaningful negotiations and for our ability to share in the success that we create for our airlines. So thank you very much, Portia. Next, we'd like to hear from a fellow flight attendant colleague and International Association of Machinists, Flight Attendant Troy Marr.
Thank you, Vita. Thank you, everyone. My name is Troy Marr. I am with Express Airlines, representing the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers. Back in March, we publicly announced our endorsement for President Obama. We reaffirmed that endorsement last week at our International Grand Lodge Convention in Toronto. On behalf of the 700,000 members of the Machinists Union, we are dedicated and will work hard to make sure President Obama is elected this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Troy. And it's important to note that while we're here representing our flight attendants today and the 100,000 pumps on the ground that we can put out in the field, many of us are also part of much larger unions, and together we're going to make sure that we can do everything possible to support the re-election of Barack Obama and other candidates support working families and workers' rights. And lastly, we'd like to hear from the president of the Association of Professional Flight Attendants, representing thousands of members at American Airlines, a fellow friend and colleague, Laura Gladding.
Thank you very much, Vita, and thank you for organizing this. Really appreciate it. And thanks you all for coming, and thank you especially to my fellow flight attendants that are here for support. As we all know only too well, the labor movement in this country and the middle class on the whole is under attack. In order to help turn that tide back to the progressive democracy that understood and valued organized labor, we need to support the political leaders that support us. And as some of the more visible members of the labor movement, the flight attendants have the ability to make a real impact. That's why the APFA Executive Committee resolved to endorse President Obama's re-election back in May. That resolution also called on members to take an active role in the president's campaign wherever possible. Thousands of American Airlines flight attendants live and work in the state of Florida. With so many members in a swing state, the APFA's efforts could help sway this election, and we take that very seriously. But all of our members live in places with a close race, presidential, congressional, or local, and we encourage everyone to be involved everywhere. Our company's bankruptcy has really brought the presidential race home for the APFA members. The Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation and the president's appointees there have played a critical role in protecting our benefits. I cannot thank them enough. On the other hand, Mr. Romney's former colleagues at Bain & Company have paid millions by our broke company to help balance the books with a check from the employees. They are experts in leveraging the bankruptcy code to cut salaries, benefits, and even jobs. The aviation industry was the first to feel the real recession, and we at American Airlines are now feeling the worst of the downturn, even as it seems to be leveling off elsewhere. The APFA needs an administration that understands and empathizes with the life in the American middle class. That is why I'm proud to be here today to join my brothers and sisters across the flight attendant profession in offering our support and endorsement of President Barack Obama and Joe Biden. Thank you.